Hey guys, welcome to here, of course, today we're discussing the Weimar. I hope that's pronounced right. I do apologize. Any German speakers here? Weimar, something like that. Aiming systems is my preferred choice. The turrets do turn pretty slow. Main battery is not a bad idea, but the 5% reload, again, I don't think it's worth losing aiming systems. Propulsion mod is what I go for the bit of the extra acceleration. Is really handy, really good acceleration. It does turn very poorly, so steering gears is an option, but propulsion is generally the better choice here. Concealment is 100% the way to go. It's not great for its maneuverability, so really specking into it too much is not going to make too much of a difference unless you spec fully into it, and it's a lot of a time investment. In terms of the armor here, it's basically a York hull, but it's got 4 triple barreled 150s. Basically, it's a Nuremberg but fat and very slow. Nuremberg had too many apple strudels, something like that. So, first bow armor here, 16, nothing really special except the backplate 51 here. Overmatchable 60mm by 203s, so moving on. Turtleback, 25mm turtleback with a little bit of decent armor plating on the side. Superstructure, something to fancy. Obviously, to be built, only 60mm here. As I said, the armor belt, 80mm on the sides, and you've got a 25mm turtleback, which for tier 6 is quite good. You might be fighting tier 5 ships, but a lot of tier 5 battleships do not have 15-inch guns and above. Citadel is relatively small, still not great. You do have the turtleback, of course, as we saw before. Good overview here, just the same as the York hull, sorry. The York hull is the same. I can see the turtleback itself does have some armor as well, so angling will pay off in this boat, but it will also pay off in a bad way, meaning you're guaranteed to get penned. So as I said, basically this is a Nuremberg, but chunkier and much less maneuverable. In terms of the builds here, I've got about 3 builds here, and I recommend looking at all 3 and considering what is more close to your playstyle. So first thing, good interlucents, you're running an agility build here. Actually not bad, considering it is very clumsy, and that is capitalizing on the ship's main weakness is its lack of maneuverability. So going for ingenious for helping turrets, flank speeds, for the extra speeds, of course, and the rudder shift and sponge and all that. You can use that for agility build, and then you can just go into whatever inspirations you feel comfortable with. Azurely and Hipper, if you have her, ingenious, and you can go down the red tree here with the igniter, punch through, and then fixated, and then you go for Rethel Station. And then in terms of inspirations, Norman Scott is generally quite good, and Macau for a little bit of comfiness of the stealth. Though, finally, my final build is, after a little bit of figuring out, is Karl von Miller here. We're going with, instead of beyond range we usually go, we're going for burn it down. So we get an extra 2% fire chance, go for igniter, punch through, fixated, and refill station. And this is a different paint. We're going with Kuznetsov with a 5.7% range, and then Norman Scott. Now, you could just put on beyond range, but it leaves a little bit too much range, especially with refill station's skill. When you are close to a ship, you get like nearly 18 to 19 kilometers range. 16 kilometers range without the flag is pretty comfy. You could always get more with the refill station, and with this way you actually have a 13% fire chance, which is very incredible actually for EOP built in. As you can see, stock 8, and it's pretty darn spicy. It even beats out the Cleveland, which is 8% again. Again, this has been buffed an extra 3%, so take it down. If you look at the stats on the American cruisers, they have a little bit less fire chance as well. It's very good DPM, the Weimar, but something to note, it is very fragile, it is very clumsy, it's nowhere near maneuverable as the American cruisers as well. I would say it's OP, I'd say it's very strong. In the hands of a good cruiser player, it's going to be very strong. But in the hands of everyone else who's not 100% experienced in cruisers, you're going to get death struck a couple times. I think it happened to me once before. I'm going to be honest with you. It's not easy to, when you get hit and when you have to kite in this boat, it's kind of a struggle because it is not very maneuverable. So once you get in a position, it's very difficult to get in a position quickly. So you need to plan very ahead accordingly. You really just need to be finding yourself a good position where you can unleash the German Daka. Now, Something to note as well about this ship, it has a quite high mast. Now that may not seem like anything to you guys, but detection works based off how tall your mast is, and you have a triangulation from the points. There's more information on a World of Warships video. So as you can see, we're spotted quite easily over this island. I think, yeah, I don't think we're spotted over the island. Yeah, I think we're just spotted over because of the mast height, and we're suffering a little bit here. So this already could end very poorly here, and you know, this could end very badly here. So we're doing what we can here. We're just trying to get out of this situation. We shouldn't take a shot. Again, we shouldn't be spotted. We do go dark here, but that was a little bit of a blunder there. I'm still not used to the ship. And you test out the height of that mast is a little bit of a problem when it comes to shooting over islands. Shells though, pretty darn floaty shells. Again, very similar to Nuremberg. You can actually get some decent shots over islands, maybe even a little better than Nuremberg. Plus, you've also got that built-in EOP, you know, which is really going to help. You're going to get a lot more pens, as you can see here. The Dakar you can do is really good, but your platform is eh. You do get the very scary York sonar and the very scary York torpedo setup, or you know, same thing. You've got a lot of 2x3, 4x3 triple launchers, 2 on each side. So you've got 6 torps on each side, and of course they're German torps, so they reload quite quickly. So you really don't want to be rushed too much in this thing. It's pretty dangerous at 6 kilometers and under. Also, you have that 5.4 kilometer sonar that we mentioned before, New York. So realistically, you want to find yourself a good spot, a good position where the enemy are advancing, and you want to just basically use all you can to focus on the Dakar, really, and just really get your money's worth out of what this ship can do. It's really good at that. As I said, very slow, very clumsy, which means hunting DDs is rather difficult, but it's certainly doable. I just thought we angled there. This is in New Mexico. Yeah, it technically does have 14-inch guns, but we still took a little bit of beating there. But I think our total back, well, again, we're a bit too far away from our total back, but our armor scheme did help us from eating a citadel. So that's something to know. Again, you're tier 6 cruiser, so you have the potential to fight tier 5s as well. And even some tier 6 battleships do not have 15-inch guns or above, though most of them do. So we're doing what we can. We're providing the Dakar and for. Oh, I was going to say we have just gone dark there, but that's not the case. We're trying to back up and use this island cover. Mast on this ship is quite large, so getting spotted is actually relatively easy on this boat. And again, if you're really using this boat to its full potential, you'll be firing constantly. So that's why I decided not to spec into concealment too much, really. As you can see, pretty spicy results here. The fire that we have, the fire chance, is actually really good, and the additional pens adding up over it means you can build up a high amount of damage in a very quick time. But again, you need to play smart, you need to have good positioning, and that's what I think that makes this ship not really OP, but I think it's a very strong ship. If played correctly, it's a very strong ship, but you can get spotted, and all it takes is one salvo, and that could be it. And it's not like the Okhotov or the Wichita where you're constantly overpenned. If you're caught in this boat, there's a good chance you might get death struck, literally. And you have very slow turret traverse on the guns. You can't react quickly to danger. You do have a sonar, yes, but it doesn't mean you're just invulnerable to torpedoes. You are very clumsy. The turret traverse, the clumsiness, and the armor scheme obviously not being battleship caliber is something to note. It just means it's got a high skill gap, and I think that's a good thing, really. You know, if you manage to get a position where you're hiding behind an island, you just Dakar everything down, you're doing great. Probably you're doing really well, but you also are dependent on the enemy team to push into you. So you're not gonna. Realistically, I don't think you should spec fully into range with this boat, but let's just say you do. You're going to probably struggle to hit things at extreme ranges, and I don't think you'll do incredibly well with that. But I think it's a very situational game. You really need the island's cover. I think is pretty good. It is a really good boat. The more I'm playing it, the more I'm liking it. We've already picked up 75k, and it really doesn't seem like we've done much really in terms of the game. There's only been like 6 minutes, 80k. You know, 6 minutes, 80k. 204 shell hits. You do rack up the number of pens as well. absolutely bonkers how many actual shell hits you get. Norman Scott is a very good inspiration choice, I think, for this Weimar. I hope I'm saying this right. But yes, I do think it's very strong, don't get me wrong, but I do like the fact that if you make a mistake and it's not really great at kiting, I'm struggling to kite here. I'm doing it, but it's not easy. You have to play for speed. You have to do all out the stops, where other boats, like let's just say the Munchen, you are very easily able to kite. You're much faster, you're much more maneuverable. You have much more options of versatility to you. This thing has one option. It is to Daka things down. And in terms of versatility, it doesn't have too much besides just high DPM. High DPM is really good though, don't be wrong. But when you're not very maneuverable in a cruiser, it leaves you stuck to places like islands. And this situation here, it's a rough situation. At this range, I'm pretty sure any cruiser can kite and dodge to an extent here, but we're going to have to be careful here. Scharnhorst we can angle against here, but as I said, the 19mm nose will be overmatchable by the Scharnhorst. I really want to turn out here. Scharnhorst has just fired, but we need to be careful about his follow-up shot. Scharnhorst has got a pretty quick reload. There's his salvo, I think. Yep. We might have enough time, probably have enough time to angle here. We meant to get most of that, that's fine. As I said, 25mm armor. Armor scheme is it's not that bad when you're fighting tier 5s and low caliber tier 6s, but you're not very maneuverable. That's something to know. So, as I said, with this sort of boat, you're kind of restricted to play a little bit further back. You could play more aggressively, but as I said, very easy to get dev struck. This is a situation where you have the range to play with, and range is nice, but when you're constantly shooting and you have a high range, you're in a very unmovable boat. You need to be aware of what you're doing. That's why the excessive range build I don't think is too ideal for this. I think it's better just to have a nice comfortable like 16, 15 sort of kilometer range there, but I think a little bit of a speed range inspiration would be a good idea. If you don't have your Kuznetsov fully leveled up, probably just run beyond range and see what happens, but be aware that when you do shoot, the chances of you getting a good position will drop because you have a higher detection, obviously because you're firing. So yeah, we're doing what we can. We're being harassed by the Carrier, we're being harassed by the Scharnhorst, and Tennessee's also trying his luck. I think it's also the Omaha. No, the Tennessee died. It's the Ismail. But again, 14-inch guns, and is it 12-inch guns for the Scharnhorst? I know it's 283, I think. So we're doing what we can. We're trying to Daka him down. We can't really see him, but we're just doing what we can to pen his armor. As you can see, the EOP built in the quarter pen for the German HE is really kicking in. 9 pens, 12 pens, and only 3 shatters. And this is not an easy boat to damage. This is a Scharnhorst, one of the most heavily armored tier 6 battleships, especially with the deck being actually 50, I believe. Yeah, 50mm deck. Which I don't believe you can pen, but like we're getting the superstructure hits. Those shatters are on the Scharnhorst's deck or the gun turrets themselves. So, in the heat of the battle, we do beat yourselves, so GG does. Good job. Good job, Mr. Monk. But as you can see, the repulsion mod's really kicking in, and that is very useful. Obviously, we're not going to shoot right now because we're only on 6,000 health, and the chances of the Ismail or the Scharnhorst finishing us off is quite high. All it takes is a couple pens or even a citadel from either or. You know, also there's a King George as well. That's something to note. When I'm recording these, I can't really see the minimap too well, but I'm still, you know, we're still getting there. So, what we're going to do here, plan at least, is to get under, behind this island and start dacking. But as you can see, that mast is really high, so we need to be careful about when to shoot. We're spotted by the CV anyway, so oh well, we did go dark here, but we're going to take a shot. As you can see, our ship's profile is too high in the water for that to be a case. We're going to try and slow down here and try to use this island for our cover. We're still spotted a little bit here. I think we've zoned out a little bit too much. Oh. Okay, King George is going out of cover, going out of vision for us, or at least out of line of sight. Ismail still is there, we're going to put some data on here. If you're looking at the scoreboard here and the positions here, pretty much neck and neck. Realistically, probably shouldn't be shooting, but I think we're getting a little bit greedy here. But considering my division mate is in a DD, and there's no other destroyers left, they do have the carrier. If he can safely cap one of the objectives, it's a pretty clear win here, because they have nothing to really contest the caps. They do have the CV, that's true, but unless the CV is capping as well, it's going to be a little bit of a struggle. Also, we do get our prime position. We get a really good spot. We're behind this island. Fortunately, when you're carrying away, you're only using the 2 guns, and I believe the front guns, or I think it's the back guns, don't have 360 turn arcs, unlike the Nuremberg does. So a little bit unfortunate, but I think this boat is plenty strong without it. You know, the more I play the boat, the more I think it is basically borderline OP, but I do like the fact that you can actually get punished in it quite easily, and it really didn't take too much for you to mess up with this boat. So I know a lot of CCs have been saying this thing is ridiculously overpowered and I'm not sure about that. I think it's a strong boat, but I don't think it's overpowered. In the hands of a good player, yes, it's very strong, but there is definitely counters to it, and basically the counter is pick it out of its position. It's not fast enough to run away. It only goes like 31 knots, and with that you're going to really struggle to catch up to it. Also, as well, it's not very maneuverable, unlike other boats that you can spec into, and the chances of you dev striking it are rather high compared to boats like Cleveland, Okachev, Wichita, and stuff like that. I know we're comparing to tier 7 boats, but realistically, if you're talking about OP ships, then might as well just compare the tier up as well. I think the Helena is very strong, and I think the Helena is in a very similar position in terms of this boat, except the Helena is very likely to get overpenned, and the Helena is much more maneuverable as well. So if you're really comparing these boats, I'd say it's very similar to the Helena playstyle, and it's something to know. You can also get AOP in the Helena. It's just a little bit better on the Weimar because of the built-in EOP, and as a result, a little bit higher fire chance, but you do lose out on a little bit HE shell damage. But obviously the EOP will compensate for that tenfold. We're already up to 185,000. We've had an absolute crazy game here. We need to be careful though and not get self-killed to the King George without any reason. So we're going to go behind here, get behind ourselves an island here. We probably could shoot the King George. We're on 700 points here, 798 to 686. A cruiser death is not 100 points net, so I probably could shoot here, but I'm playing it safe here, and we're just going to shoot until he has no way to return fire because of island cover. We go dark instantly as soon as we fire here, and even if he can see us, he can't shoot over this island to see us unless he has actually got us spotted. The carrier does keep us spotted here. We're out of planes, but we're nearby our friendly CV, and the plane shouldn't have too much of an effect. Our CV picks up clear skies, very nice. So we're just going to put some DACA down on the King George. We can't really see him too well. Readjust the shots. As I said, at range you're probably going to struggle even to hit some battleships unless you're very crafty if you aim, which is definitely the case. I'm thinking he beaches, so I fire a little bit back. But turns out he's risking the canal. He's just grazing that ship. He does look like he stops, but he doesn't actually, he just slows down. So we do miss on a couple sables there, unfortunately. We do pick up 193,000, 195,000, and I think that's all she wrote. I don't think we can hit any more on that. Now, yeah, I think that's all we can get here. Now, I'm telling you in advance, guys, I did actually lose connection from the internet after this game, so I couldn't get the results screen. A little bit unfortunate, but hey, that's just how the cookie crumbles. So what I did, there we go, connector connected. I'll show you here. So we've got 468 shell hits, 195,000, 14 fires, 6 planes, and 5 kills. We've got 3,000 base XP. Only high cal, unfortunately, didn't pick up the high cal Confederate award, but hey, that's whatever. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. Hope this helps you out in your decision, and have a wonderful day. I'll catch you guys next time.